Satnam, I'm Nirvair Khalsa, and here we are in April for our April meditation. I really love that one we did in March, especially this one chanting to Guru Ram Das and having that altered perception of looking behind you. I'll probably just keep continuing that. You can always do that too if you find one of these kriyas or meditations that we're doing and you really like it, then just keep going with it. You know, there's some that I've been doing for years now. It takes a little extra time, but it's always fun to explore these new kriyas that Yogi Bhajan taught. He taught so many and they're so amazing. Today we're going to do Merging with Infinity, and Yogi Bhajan taught this February 11th, 1998. It is one of these themes that Yogi Bhajan talked about a lot, because in terms of being a yogi or a spiritual person having this human experience, you have to deal with polarity. And so, we've got these obvious day and night, male and female, relaxation and activity, which is really a key in Kundalini Yoga. But also these big existential ideas like finite and infinity, like existence and non-existence. And so a yogi, the definition of that is being, beyond polarity, not having the opposites affect you. And so there's something that I've been thinking about for years, and I play with it, occasionally, and it's become a habit, and that is exactly what does this mean? How can a finite creature relate to infinity? How can something in existence relate to non-existence? And so my solution for this, and the way I deal with it, is to create a relationship with that. And to create a relationship as a finite creature with infinity means that you have to familiarize yourself with what exactly infinity is, what it means, and the same is true with existence and non-existence. And that is, if you exist and you can actually understand that part of you does not exist, it's interesting. It's very interesting. Interesting things happen when you establish that relationship. And the relationship with infinity, the way I do it, and from my point of view, is a couple ways. One, it requires some alertness, all right? And that is that if you put yourself if you maintain your value structure with only things that are finite, then you end up relating more to your finite part of yourself, because finite things change. But if you relate to infinity, right, and you put yourself in that way, and Kundalini Yoga, as taught by Yogi Bhajan, is just amazing for that, for realizing that part of you that is unchanging, then that's really good too. Here's something he said in this lecture when someone asked him in the class, what is Sachkhand? Sachkhand is a state of consciousness and a state of being in the ethers that Guru Nanak talks about in Japji. And he said, this world is basic reality of truth, and truth lives here. What you feel is not true. I see a class, now it's a class. After an hour or so, there will be no class. You know what I mean. And today a person is 16. Tomorrow the person will not be 16. He's 16 one day. Anything which changes is not reality. Infinity never changes. And how can you know this person has practiced infinity? Because that person, kindness, compassion, will be as infinite as infinity means. So, this is a great way, this particular kriya, to pull ourselves into that state of infinity. It's going to be a little bit challenging. It's one of these arms up kriyas that you're going to hold for a whole 11 minutes. What you'll do first is, of course, tune in Om Namo, Gurudev Namo 3 times. And then the mudra for this is that you're going to have the hands together, palms together like this, prayer pose, but then you're going to cross the thumbs. And then you're going to hold the arms out in front of you straight and do your best to roll the elbows in. Stay up in neck lock, and you're going to hold the arms parallel to the ground, eyes closed, focused at the brow point. And then what you're going to do is whistle. And you're going to whistle to our Das Bai instrumental. You can get this CD or even listen to it probably on spiritvoyage.com. It's one that's been around for a long time, but it's the instrumental version so that you whistle along with it. You've probably done this in some class sometime because he used it a lot. This whole idea of whistling is something that brings a lot of vitality and energy. Yogi Bhajan has talked about it as being something that people have used for all time. Soldiers, people that needed energy, people that have been working physically very hard to kind of give themselves an energetic boost. And also to bring in the pranic etheric element. And so we'll whistle with that for 11 minutes. And then you're going to do a powerful breath of fire. And you're going to place your hands, usually sometimes we're up like this, sometimes we're down, but it's kind of an angle. And then you're going to bring your arms up to about a 45-degree angle. So they're not facing up, they're not facing down, the palms. And you'll be upright, neck locked, powerful breath of fire for 1 minute. And then you'll have the hands in the lap, interlaced in the lap, and you'll have the eyes closed. Breath will be normal, and you'll go into a thoughtless state. This is kind of interesting, a thoughtless state, Yogi Bhajan describes. And it's not that you aren't going to be thinking, right? You will be thinking, except you don't want to be actively be thinking. You want to bring yourself to that shunia state, to that stillness, and to that 0 point. After what we've done with all the energizing and the endorphins that are going to be released by holding your arms up for 11 minutes, it'll be easy for you to get in that particular place. And actually in this lecture, a student asked Yogi Bhajan, what does it mean to be thoughtless? All right? He said, the question was, sir, is it possible to practice thoughtlessness and chant God's name with every breath at the same time? And he answered, yes, it is. Thoughtlessness is a mental process. Thought comes negative, you go positive, and you practice. And in Vedanta, there's one line, Nitye Nitye Namo Namo. You're not this, you're not this, you're not this, you're not this. I bow to you again. Because it doesn't matter how many people we are here, how much I've tried to explain to you, life is infinity. Why to steal? Why to lie? Why to cheat? Why to do all these small things? You're going to get what you're going to get. And if you're not going to identify your finite identity into things, then infinity will give you. Why are you so foolish? Our insecurity, our competing nature, all those kinds of things give us a lot of trouble for nothing. And it's very funny. Have you gone to a sometime garden? Has ever a rose come out and walked in front of you and say, smell me? Does it? Have you seen that? No. Rose fragrance is powerful enough that you will smell. Your grace is powerful enough which people will feel. And so the idea is that when you're in that state, you want to be as still as you can be. But if the thoughts come, you don't identify with them, right? Because the thoughts will come. You just don't want to actively provoke your thoughts. And meditate, if something's on your mind, something's bothering you, or something you want to work through, and you kind of grind through it mentally, even in a meditative state. And in this case, what you want to do is be so still, but if a thought comes, then you counter it. If it's a negative thought with a positive thought, bring yourself to that stillness, and then you'll just do that for 3 minutes. It's not like it's going to be forever, because it's hard to maintain those states of shunya, those thoughtless type states. And then right at the end, what you're going to do is something interesting. You're going to hold the breath 3 times, powerful deep breath, and then you're going to press the tongue up against the roof of the mouth and hold the breath with the tongue pressed up against the roof of the mouth, the upper palate, really strongly for 10 or 15 seconds. Powerful exhale, inhale again, tongue up, powerful exhale, inhale, 3rd time. And then, of course, end with a few long sat nams or the sunshine song. So this PDF will be up in case you want to read the instructions again. So here's one more thing I want to read you out of this lecture. These lectures are very inspiring. It's literally what Kundalini Yoga is about. It's not often that Yogi Bhajan would take questions like this. And so someone asked him about clearing karmas through the use of Kundalini Yoga. And this is what he said. Kundalini Yoga burns not karma of this incarnation, but many incarnations. It cleans you out and it resets you. If in that transit period they call Shaktipad, you don't freak out, you've made it. A practitioner of Kundalini Yoga has to be plus positive. Then it works very fast. If you just work plus, it's mediocre and it takes time. When you work plus, negative plus positive, then it takes a long time. It's a very direct science. An idiot can become a sage. It opens up all the avenues. The problem is people do not practice it with that range of sincerity. In Kundalini Yoga, doesn't matter anything. Philosophy doesn't matter anything. It's the kriya which gives you the experience. And with that experience, you get a lot of big horizons. And then the fear of distance from God becomes in yourself. You become God, and that's the way it is. That way, and it reaches where the pair of opposites, good and bad, right and wrong, high and low, you cannot judge. It's not that you don't want to judge, but you don't judge. You feel very content, comfortable. The moment you feel content and comfortable, you'll be very kind, compassionate, and caring. It's automatic. It's one goes for the other. So, with sincerity, really put yourself into this kriya this month. Experience your infinity. And think, when you're not doing the kriya, that's the beauty of a regular practice, is that it spills over into your regular life of just how much investment you've got into things that are always changing because you can't hold on them. They slip through your fingers like pouring water in your hands and trying to hold on to it. So, we must be finite creatures. We must live in this particular reality. But if you can relate to the infinity of you, if in existence you can relate to non-existence, and if that practice can allow you to keep that balance, then you become a yogi. So, I hope you enjoy it. I'll be doing it with you. And so, Sat Nam.